Who are the best cornerbacks in the 2026 NFL Draft? Stay tuned as today we reveal our top 10 corners that you need to know. Ryan, I've come away after watching this cornerback class, most of the big names. I think corner is easily one of the biggest strengths in this class. I really like what I saw from guys that fit in day one, day two. A lot of really good grades for some players who set up a position where I think I could see some big name guys not make my top 10 for today's conversation. Do you agree with me on that? Do you think that the corner class is that good?
I think it has the potential to be. Do you feel like there's volatility to it though? Like, I don't know. There's a few players, like specifically in the top 10, where I'm like, I think that guy could be a first rounder. I think that guy could be a top 50 pick, or he can kind of fall down the board. So I do think there's a little bit of, I don't want to call it boom or bust, but like I think volatility is the right word, right? Like there's a few different realities for some of these guys where their high end's upside is really nice, but then their low end downside is also just a little bit scary, right? So like I like the upside of the group. I guess I just want to see a little bit more. I want to see a couple guys take massive steps, because if they take massive steps, I think that it can be a very good corner class eventually.
All right, I'll start us off with my 10 through 6, as we always do. Number 10, Malik Muhammad from Texas. Number 9, Judge Collier from South Carolina. 8, Keith Abney from Arizona State. I already see you rolling your eyes. 7, Avion Terrell from Clemson. And then 6, Mansour DeLeone from LSU. Did you watch Collier like I suggested you watch him?
I did not, no. And just so people know, to your reaction, it was not about Keith Abney. I think Keith Abney is a perfectly fine football player. He's not in my top 10, but I don't dislike Keith Abney. I guess talk to me about Collier, Joe, because I feel like every week we come on these shows and there was like a miscellaneous player or two that I watched that you didn't watch, and this is a very rare occurrence that you watch somebody that I literally, you texted me yesterday, you're like, hey man, have you watched this Judge Collier guy? And I'm like, Joe, I don't even know who the hell that is. Like, I had no idea who that is.
Okay, so I discovered him after I was doing some prep for the week 1 game for South Carolina versus Virginia Tech for Ruffino and Joe. And I was reading some premium content on On3 behind a paywall. And Mike Yuva does great work. And as I was reading, he referenced that he thinks that Collier's like the biggest sleeper on this defense. And that he said that he's going to rise in draft circles and that he will be a player that could be an All-American. Okay. And I was like, whoa, I've never heard of this guy.
Me neither.
I had planned to watch Kilgore yesterday, and I decided, let's watch Collier too. The thing that stood out to me, and he's one of these players that definitely does have volatility, as you've alluded to with this class. He's long. He's listed at 6'2". He's 201, so he's a big, strong, physical guy. I think that he's pretty aggressive and physical through press, and he uses his length very, very well. And for his size, you get these 6'2" guys, or he's probably 6'1" and change. Not the best hip fluidity, but good enough for me to feel that he'd be really good in a zone-based system and would be reliable in man situations because he moves well enough. That all to me is starting outside corner caliber. The only thing that I wanted to get from him that could be better, just again, average or like slightly above average for long speed, hip fluidity, change of direction. And I didn't think he did a very good job of locating the football. He had some completions where he was right there. He was sticking with guys, but because he didn't locate the football quickly enough, it led to completions happening. So
interesting.
I think this Collier guy could be a little bit of just a sneaky guy that could pop up throughout this draft process, or I could be completely wrong. That's always possible.
There's a natural question, as you described him, of slightly tight hips, but he's a bigger listed corner at 6'2", 201. My question for you, Joe, is does he have upside to play inside at all? Like, is this a potential safety convert?
He's a good tackler, so I think that he's a big kid. I don't know if I'd waste my time throwing him inside, but whenever I got a player who's a reliable tackler, that automatically checks that box of, hey, I'd feel fine if he had to play nickel corner. That'd be a serviceable accomplishment for him.
All right, last one before I hit my 10 through 6. Keith Abney, who did not make my list, he has become kind of a draft Twitter darling of sorts this offseason. Our good friend Corey Kinnan is a guy that has been kind of beating that drum a lot. I know James Foster, who I have a lot of respect for in the space, also is a big Keith Abney fan. What did you like about Keith Abney and what put him on the top 10 list for you?
I thought he was fine. I think that's the way to describe
that's not
him.
a good description.
Well, do you not? You're saying it's not a good description because I'm not giving a glowing review.
I'm just saying, anytime I ask somebody like, "Hey, talk to me about the positives of someone," and the first word is they're fine.
But fine isn't a bad thing. It just he's not one of these players that I think we've got all this tremendous length and explosiveness. Mm-hmm. He is the least exciting of the group. To me, he's a player who I think is going to probably goes to the beginning of the third round and just nobody thinks twice about it and ends up having a pretty good NFL career. I don't really get the first round buzz because we're looking at a guy that is average play strength, average length, moves well, moves fluidly, can stick with guys in coverage. I thought he did enough. That's my whole thing with this, with him and where I placed him. I didn't get a lot from Abney where it really felt like, this particular tool that he has is so exciting that I have to include him in my top 5. He did everything well enough. It was requisite that I felt comfortable with him being a top 10 corner.
Yep, it sounds like we have similar thoughts on Abney. Again, don't hate the player, don't love him obviously as some people do, but he's very smart. I think he's a very I can tell, and I know Corey Kinnan had him on his show, but I could tell that kid watches a ton of film, dude. A shit ton of film. He's really good, especially in zone. So, I think there's some redeeming qualities, obviously. 10 through 6, and the caveat here, Joe, is, and we talked about this a little bit on our safety show, I did include nickel corners into this conversation if the nickel corner, for me, felt more corner-based than safety-based. Okay? So that was the requisite.
So that's
here.
Xavier Scott.
Well, Xavier Scott's on it, but there's also another nickel that I'm about to talk about. Traden Stukes, who is a defensive back out of Arizona, comes in at number 10 for me, the starting nickel for Arizona. Avion Terrell at number 9 from Clemson. Number 8 is Chandler Rivers from Duke. Number 7, I have Christian Gray from Notre Dame. And then number 6, I have Domani Jackson from Alabama.
I don't know anything about Stukes. So I need you to tell me more about him.
I was so shocked by Stukes, Joe, because this was one of the guys where I saw some good spring grades on him, but I didn't know. I knew the name, but I had never watched him, to be honest. I just haven't. Because when you think about Arizona corners, Joe, what do you think the last couple years? You think about Sicario Davis, and you think about Prysock that transferred before last season, going from Arizona to Washington. You think of those big corners, and I'm looking, and I'm like, Stukes is listed as a corner. I'm like, where the hell is Stukes? I'm trying to find him. You know, that early portion of film watching where you're just trying to locate the player and you're trying to figure out what type of what is his style as far as is he wearing a sleeve? Is he wearing a towel? Just so that you can locate him consistently. Well, it turns out he's their nickel, and I'm watching him and I'm like, okay, number 2, 6 foot and a half verified, 195 pounds, 31 plus inch arms. I'm like, okay, those are outside corner numbers. And Joe, apparently this kid is going to be a stupid tester, 4'4" something athlete, really good tester as well. So I'm like, why is he playing nickel, right? That was my first impulse was why are you not an outside corner? Well, apparently he might play a little bit more outside this year, but my guy is fluid as hell in the nickel, man. Really good hip fluidity, really good change of direction, and he's smart as hell. And he does get involved in the run game. I do think there's some things to clean up as far as being a consistent tackler in space, which is why I kind of actually like him a little bit on outside corner, potentially, depending on how he looks at Arizona this year if he plays more outside. But man, the hip fluidity, the explosiveness, the long speed, there's a lot to like about Traden Stukes, and he's a pretty big kid as well, 6 foot and a half and 195 pounds. So I didn't know anything about him going into probably 2 weeks ago, but I watched him deep the last couple days especially, and I really like Traden Stukes. I think that kid is a top 100 pick for sure, but if you told me he's a top 64 player, wouldn't be shocked one bit. Would not be shocked.
I got to keep an eye on him. That is a guy that obviously is you just painted the picture. He's not somebody who's on the national radar, so that's quite intriguing. Yep. I'm going to roll us in here to my number 5 guy as we rip through these top 5s. Number 5 for me was Will Lee III from Texas A&M. Okay. I am a very big fan of what Will Lee does. Anyone who knows my draft coverage, I am a mark for tall corners. He has the typical issue for tall corners where he's just a little clunky when he has to transition and to plant and to come back upfield and redirect his body momentum. But dude, I love the physicality. I love the play strength. Pretty good tackler. The range that he can cover with his size and his length is awesome.
Yep.
This is one of those players where he's scheme versatile, and I think he can be highly impactful. Will Lee, dude, is a really, really fun corner prospect in this class.
So where do you think Will Lee is on my list, Joe?
3.
He's number 2 for me. I love Will Lee.
Okay.
Dude. I love Will Lee.
Okay, I'm a hater then.
Yeah, I don't want to jump around too much, obviously, but like he's 6 foot and 7/8, so he's right around 6'1". He's 191 pounds. And he has 31.5-inch arms as well. So like Joe, nearly an 80-inch wingspan, Will Lee, man. So he's got almost 80-inch wingspan, well liked in NFL circles. And the one thing I was curious about is like long speed wise, right? Like what's he going to run? Well, scouts are estimating it like 4.45. So like the kid's not slow. I think like any old taller corner, sometimes the hip transitions opening up vertically are a little bit slower than some smaller corners, obviously. But when he gets going, I think he can run. But I love the physicality, man. And he plays with a tough demeanor. I would like him to be a little bit more consistent in the run game, and I like his eyes to be a little bit more inconsistent. Like there's some times where I think his eyes just drift a little bit or he gets a little bit lazy in zone. But yeah, I like Will Lee a lot. So we'll talk about him more, I guess, we won't talk about him anymore because he's my number 2 corner, but we'll glance over him, I suppose. But yeah, man, I'm all in on Will Lee. I like him a lot. I think that kid could definitely be a first rounder for sure.
It's not that I'm not high on him. Yeah. I just have this bunching of guys that basically all have the same grade. The number 1 guy that I have is a separation point, but 5 to 2 are all basically in that late first round bucket with the hope that they end up rising.
Yeah, wouldn't you say, so like styles of corners, right? We're going to talk about press man corners, we're going to talk about off man corners, we're going to talk about zone based corners, we're going to talk about guys that can do a little bit of everything. I will say the one thing about Will Lee, which is why some people are going to be a little bit differing of opinion on him, is while I agree with you that he can do more, I want that kid to play press man corner. Like that's just what I want him to do. You know, I want him to get hands on you. Like that's what I want Will Lee to do, right? So he can play some off man, he can play some zones certainly, but I want that kid to get his hands on you early so his length to be super disruptive. So if you have a bias towards those big zone based corners, which I personally do, like full like transparency to put the bias on the scouting side up there. I love those types of corners, those bump and run corners that can turn and have enough long speed to be able to cover man to man. I really like guys like Will Lee.
All right, who do you got at number 5?
Number 5 for me is Mansour DeLeone from LSU, formerly of Virginia Tech. Joe, I mean, he's a guy. It's a similar analysis to what you said about Keith Abney, but on the plus level, right? Like he's not fine at everything. Yes. He's just good at everything, right? Like I think he is good enough of size. He's 5'11", 190-something pounds. So he's not the biggest corner in the world, but he's got requisite size, requisite length, requisite long speed, requisite change of direction. He's impactful in the run game pretty consistently as well. Like there's just not a glaring hole in Mansour DeLane's game. Like I look at him, I'm just like, I think that he'll be good as a zone corner. I think he'll be good as a man-to-man corner. Like I think he's just going to be a good player. Does he have the upside of a Will Lee or a couple other guys in front of him? I don't think so. No, I don't think he has that. But Mansour DeLeone, I think, is going to be a tremendous player for LSU this year. He has been a tremendous player for Virginia Tech. Almost entered the 2025 NFL draft because he just does everything at a requisite level. I would be shocked if Mansour DeLeone is not at least a solid starting corner in the NFL, but I think he will be a good starting corner in the NFL long term.
He was 6 for me, so we're basically in the same bucket here. I would add to this, I think the thing that's the most intriguing about Mansour DeLeone is the positional versatility. He played some safety last year. It was really funny. I was watching the Miami game. That was the first game I watched. I'm like, where is this guy? Yeah. Where the hell is he? And I was getting mad and annoyed. Did this dude change his number in the middle of the game, like before this game? Like, what's the deal? And then it occurred to me that he was playing free safety in the Miami game, and then in the other game that I watched, I think it was the Clemson game, he was playing outside corner.
Yes.
So having that versatility, I don't think he's a safety in the NFL, but the way that I think his experience translates is he would be an awesome slot corner. I think that he would be a really fantastic slot DB, kind of like Jahdae Barron. Not a direct comparison, but
Jair Alexander
how Jahdae Barron's
type. Yeah, right.
Right. I'd feel quite comfortable if that's what I'm drafting Mansour DeLeone do. So I'm on the same page here with him. He feels also like one of those players where names rise and fall. and he'll always just stick in that mid to early day 2 range, and he'll just end up going there. He probably doesn't sneak into the first round. I think that there's just so many more traits that can get caught up for with some of these other players. If he ends up going in that spot, he's one of those dudes that'll just kind of nod my head and go, yep, great pick.
Yeah, I mean, like he strikes me as a kid that's going to go like top 50 to 75, like somewhere in that ballpark, like mid day 2, and he's just going to be a good player. Like I agree, he's going to fit like that Byron Murphy role in the NFL, right? Like a guy that can play inside and out and do a lot of different things, which is so valuable in today's game. I remember when we were talking about J.C. Horn a few years ago, Joe. What did I love about him? I love that he had experience in the nickel on top of playing outside corner, because in today's game, you are trying to maximize matchups so much that you're going to line different body types in the slot at times. You're going to line up different body types out wide. You're going to do switch releases, post snap. Like, you're going to do all these different things to try to put guys in disadvantageous situations. And I think that this is a player that kind of eliminates matchups a little bit. So, yeah, I'm there on Mansur DeLeone as well.
All right, my number 4, Damani Jackson from Alabama, guy that you just read off. Another player I don't think who generates any qualms. I'm going to be saying this a lot with these top guys that I have. Very physical, has pretty good length and size, not sexy long speed. That's probably like the one detraction for him. We were talking about this a while ago. He's probably more of like a 4.5 guy.
4.48 to 4.52, like somewhere.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I think he makes up for it for how aggressive he is and how he attacks receivers at the beginning of plays, throughout plays, when the ball is in the air. I love the overall instincts encompassed with the smoothness that he plays with. Damani Jackson, it's a bit of a trend here. It's turning into a cliche with this class. Just one of those players that if I drafted him the end of the first round, the beginning of the second round, middle of the second round, at any point, I know that I'm getting a pretty good higher floor starting outside corner. That's how I see him.
Yeah, so I had him at 6. I think that we echo a lot of the same sentiments. I don't think his long speed is great, but I think it's sufficient. It's requisite. It's fine for his body type. He was a former high-caliber recruit out of Modern Day that started his career at USC and then transferred to Alabama this past year. And while I don't think the long speed's amazing, I think that the hip fluidity for his size is pretty dang good, dude. Like, he can turn and run, and I would call him more smooth than explosive. Do you agree with that? Like more smooth than explosive? Yeah. I mean, so he's not a guy that's going to like trigger and cover a lot of ground. He's not a guy that is going to, just twitchy like at the top of his transitions, but he just kind of lulls you to sleep a little bit, and he just has good enough change of direction and good enough hip fluidity and good enough long speed that he's going to win more reps than he loses, is kind of the best way to determine Damani Jackson. Yeah, so I think we're on the same page with that one. I do want him to be a little bit more physical at times. I do want him to, he's got a little bit of the injury bug in his background, like nothing crazy, but like he's had like that just like nagging injury stuff the last couple of years. So like, can he put a fully healthy season together of consistency? That's the one thing that you want to see with Damani.
All right, what do you got number 4?
Number 4 for me, A.J. Harris from Penn State, former Georgia transfer who started last year for Penn State. Joe, my guy is physical as hell. Like, he will tackle in the run game. He will be super physical at the line of scrimmage. He's got good press man technique. I think his hip fluidity is pretty good. I don't think his long speed is great, though. Like, I think that he is probably one of the lower end guys on my top 5, especially in terms of like pure just long speed, turn and run recovery. Like, I don't know if he's that type of guy, but he is, again, a press man corner that is going to be super physical. You saw a lot of promise in year 1 as a starter at Penn State. I think that you could get another year 2 bump potentially, because that Penn State secondary is good, dude. Like, we haven't talked about the nickel Tracy, but he's a good player. We talked about Wheatley, obviously. Zakee Wheatley at safety. That's a good secondary with a good defensive line in front of them. So I'm curious to see if A.J. Harris has a little bit more ball production in 2025, because you saw it in spurts, but you didn't see it consistently. But he's physical and he'll play in the NFL.
I have A.J. Harris at number 3. I am on the same page with you and all those things. The biggest descriptor for him, he's long, he's rangy, he covers a lot of ground, he flies upfield. The only thing that I didn't love about him, I do think he does show physicality, but I didn't love his play strength. I didn't think he wasn't a guy who really wowed me in that area. Okay. But he is a player for me that I feel is going to be super reliable in man coverage situations. It was just super sticky in coverage. So I'm on the same page there with you on A.J. Harris.
Okay. Yeah. I think he's He's like one of those guys that you admire the way he plays too, right? Like he has a demeanor
Yes.
to him, which I think is super interesting. So, yep, AJ Harris. Number 3 for you, sir? Number 3?
He was number 3 for me, so for three for you.
A guy that you talked about on last show, Xavier Scott, nickel corner from Illinois. Joe, I'm in love with the change of direction for Xavier Scott. I think that this kid can play legit man-to-man in the slot, and he can be a little bit of a racer. I think he could play outside at times. I think he could play safety at others. Like, this is a kid that I do think is a very versatile player. I think he has good zone instincts. I think he gets lulled to sleep occasionally in zone, but like I think mostly his eyes go to great spots. He's got not requisite. He's got good ball skills when he has the opportunity to make a play in the passing game. I just want his play strength to improve. His play strength can improve and give it a little bit more impactful in the run game. I think that this kid is a starting nickel and a plus starting nickel in the NFL before too long, and I wouldn't be shocked if he's a Pro Bowler down the line in the nickel.
He was my number 5 safety.
Yes.
And obviously he's like that slot DB category, how I described him. I'm going to just repeat, if for anyone who missed the safety show, I think he's Brian Branch. I think that he can be that type of guy who super, yeah, right. He's been fantastic for the Lions. He's just this multi-use slot weapon, roaming presence that can do a lot of different things well, and the man coverage skills are what make him so dynamic and so threatening. I'm a big Xavier Scott fan. This is a pro Xavier Scott show, so I am 100% on that same page.
Not to put too much information out there, but I will say that there was at least one NFL team last year that thought he was going to enter the 2025 NFL draft, and that team was willing to potentially invest the top 32 selection in Xavier Scott. So he might go earlier than a lot of people anticipate.
Well, although this is a lot deeper of a safety class and corner class, so hopefully that doesn't hurt him. I don't think that's going to be the case.
Yeah.
My number 2 guy, I'm a little scared about this one because I'm a little worried that you either agree with me and we have the same number 2, or this guy didn't make your top 10. DJ McKinney from Colorado.
I didn't watch him. I didn't watch DJ McKinney.
You did? Stop. You didn't watch DJ McKinney?
I didn't watch DJ McKinney, no.
Oh, dude, you missed out.
I didn't get to him.
Brian,
I was going to crib him in. I was going to crib him in this morning, too, and I didn't get a chance to watch him. Nope, did not. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you missed out on DJ McKinney, man. I watched him in passing last year when I think we did like a game scouting episode.
Colorado, by the way, for people that didn't hear.
Yes.
Colorado. Yep.
From Colorado, number 8. He's 6'2", 180. I think that he moves comically well for how tall and long he is. I thought that his physicality and his play strength was phenomenal, and he was super aggressive, great acceleration, closes down gaps very, very easily. He's disruptive at the catch point, and he's a very willing tackler. This, to me, is the progression of being around Deion Sanders and being on the field more than Travis Hunter was and being around all those guys and him taking the leap. I really think that McKinney is going to be a first-rounder.
Wow.
I really do. I really, really like DJ McKinney, man. I'm all in.
Okay. I need to watch him. The only thing that I've heard about him from a negative side, and I would love to hear if you had this similar thought process, was someone did say that he's pretty grabby at times down the field.
I wrote that in my notes.
Okay.
At times overly grabby, he needs to be careful, but he gets away with it.
Okay.
You know what? With that it kind of gives me J.C. Horn vibes with the way that he's
only 180 pounds. You said, right? Like he's very.
I know
skinny.
he's got to bulk up a little bit, but the vibes that he gives me is more so that he's grabby, but he knows how to get away with it. He knows how to punch it through your chest, but he's not going to get called for it.
The most important question I always have for a corner, Joe, and this is not going to be a 4-1 for you, but in the world of swag and kind of having that little bit of alpha feel to you as a corner, which you need, dude. Like, you need that. You're on an island constantly. You got to have a little bit of a screw loose, and you got to have that dog in you, dude. Like, you have to. Does he wear a mouthpiece?
I don't know.
JC never had his mouthpiece in his mouth. That's how I knew that he talked trash, bro. Like, I just knew it. So it's funny. But, like, you know what brought me in on Will Lee, just like a really weird thing, is that I love Will Lee's physicality and just like everything he does as a player. But then I saw that he didn't wear a mouthpiece in his mouth. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that boy talks.
You know what?
That boy talks.
No, DJ does not have a mouthpiece in his Instagram photos of him on the field.
Is it dangling in front of him, or he just doesn't have a? Oh yeah. See that
he's got a big red one too, so it's very visible.
Joe, people think I'm going to be so stupid on this point, but that aesthetic immediately tells me. It's a creative point. It immediately tells me that guy has confidence in himself because he's always yapping. You need it, and again, people are going to think that's stupid, but I remember watching JC. And I'm like, JC plays like a dog, right? But then I would watch him every single snap, and I'd be like, his mouthpiece would just be dangling in front of him, man. So, yeah, if you are a good corner and you don't have a mouthpiece in, I'm sold. Like, that is like, check the box. If you wear a mouthpiece in your mouth, got to question if you have the dog in you. Got to question at times.
All right. Backtracking to your number 2 guy. Who's your number 2?
My number 2 was Will Lee, and we had a deep conversation on Will Lee
that's
already.
Correct.
My only thing,
I completely forgot.
I wanted to throw one note about Will Lee that I hit on because I love the physicality. I think he's faster than people are giving him credit for. I think that he just gets lost in zone a little bit at times. But I just wish he wasn't so grabby all the time. Like, that's one thing that does bother me.
It's the same thing with DJ McKinney. It's the same exact world that I live in with DJ McKinney.
There's some guys that can figure that out on the NFL level, and they can learn to play the football a little bit better and not be grabby at the catch point, at the contact point. But there are some other players that... Like, I remember Tyson. You remember Tyson Campbell out of Georgia? I hated that about him.
Yeah.
He got better at it in the NFL, to his credit. He got better at it. But I remember C.J. Henderson out of Florida. I was not a C.J. Henderson fan.
That's the best example.
Yes,
he couldn't overcome.
He could not overcome it. So some guys can learn to play the football better. Some guys, that instinct comes. Some guys just have no feel for when the football's coming, and they grab and they panic down the field. And I'm just a little bit worried about the grabbiness with Will Lee at times. But if he can remedy that, I think that he has plus starter upside without question.
All right, both of our number 1 guy is Jermod McCoy from Tennessee. Mm-hmm. I would be stunned if he wasn't in your top 10. That would have been a ridiculous claim. But he's one of my highest graded prospects. I am very, very high on what Jermod McCoy is going to do this season. The only thing that complicates things, he's coming off of an ACL injury that he suffered in the offseason. I don't know how much it's going to hurt him and how long it's going to take for him to get back, especially because the reason why I love him so much. Geez, that was a weird way of...
muff.
Yeah, I started to develop a lisp there mid-sentence. The reason why I love him so much is because he's so explosive. He picks up speed and accelerates in a hurry. He gets in and out of his breaks like it's nothing. He's got awesome hips. This isn't going to be impacted by his injury. I love his instincts. I think that he's very reactive. I think that he is somebody who just always knows how to play the ball.
Yes.
Every box is checked. Mm-hmm. This is a player that, taking the top 15, maybe even earlier than that, you just plug and play. Your defense is set, knowing that you're getting a potential Pro Bowler at corner.
Do you want an aggressive take here? Do you want the aggressive take? This is the best player I've watched this summer.
You know what?
And there's some guys that I love, dude. Like, I think Jeremiah Love is an elite player.
He's up there for me. He's like in that range.
I think Jeremiah Love is an elite football player. I think there's a few others that are true first rounders in this class. But I have not watched a player that I thought was a better all-around player, regardless of positional value and all that type of stuff, just true grading of the tape, than Jermod McCoy. He is 6 foot. 196 pounds. You mentioned he's coming back from the injury, but he's already practicing. And apparently he's supposed to have like a week 3 return. So he's got back comically fast from the leg injury that he sustained, which is great. So we're going to see him in 2025, barring some injury setback. Like, we're going to see Jermod McCoy on the field this year. Joe, what he did last year at 19 years old in the SEC was comical. Like, it was comical. He was a starter at Oregon State for a year, transferred to Tennessee via the transfer portal last offseason, and what he did in a great league, obviously, and some legit wide receiver talent everywhere was ridiculous, man. And even the reps he lost were so competitive of reps. Like, there was rarely a play where you're like, that guy just got toasted, or that guy got, like, he just wasn't good enough on that rep. It's like 50-50 ball. Oh, he gave up a play. Like, occasional, right? Press man corner that can run and is ultra physical, has great instincts, will tackle, really good ball skills, had 4 interceptions, 14 pass breakups last year in the SEC. What am I missing here? Like, what am I missing with him? I don't think there's anything that Jermod
There's nothing
McCoy
to
lacks.
miss.
Yeah.
The dominance that he showed, it's not so much what we're missing. It sucks that arguably the best prospect in the class. I had a similar grade to him and Caleb Banks. I really, and Jeremiah Love. They all have the same grade. They have this early first round grade for me. I don't have any blue chip grades. I didn't give that out this year. I didn't have anyone that fit that degree. The thing that sucks with him is that we have to take all this with a grain of salt because he's coming off of an ACL. So
Sure.
do we even know if he declares? How does it slow him down?
He has to, man. He has to declare.
The recovery for an ACL is obviously a lot easier than it's been in the past. Yeah. So he'll probably be fine, but we just kind of have to sit and wait to see how does this affect him. Because sometimes these players do take a few months to get back to full speed. Some of them take a whole season to get back to full speed. I'm praying it's quick.
I don't need to see this kid in 2025. Like, I don't. If he shut it down and just like, I'm entering the draft just coming off the ACL tear and he's got X amount of months more to recover, like, I don't care. Like, this kid is. I'm telling you, man, like, I'm not trying to be too hyperbolic, but like, if my grading ended today on him, I would have a blue chip grade on Jermod McCoy. I love Jermod McCoy. Like, this is a top 10 pick all day, in my opinion, if healthy. And he could be a top 5 pick if he's back to what he was last year and maybe takes another step forward. Because again, I come back to it, Joe. This was the same conversation with Jamar Chase, and it's a different position, different caliber of player, obviously. But I remember Jamar Chase, right? He sat out that 1 year, and everyone's like, oh, how will that affect him? Because he sat out the COVID year. I'm just like, guys, what he did at 19 years old in the SEC was just... It didn't make any sense.
Bonkers.
And Jermod McCoy did the same thing, man. Just on the other side of the ball at a different position. He was phenomenal in 2024, and I'm excited to see him back at some point in 2025, hopefully.
All right, folks, let us know in the comments below. Who do we miss? Hit that like button and subscribe. We'll talk to you later.